Hello dear students, today we are going to talk about self-introduction. So first thing you need to know is the situations where we introduce ourselves. For example, starting from the least formal to the most formal. For example, if you introduce yourself in an English classroom to your classmates, so that's going to be least formal. Then you can introduce yourself at a new job, at a big event. Depending on the situation, the way you introduce yourself, the way you provide, the number of information you provide, it depends on the formality of the situation. For example, when you introduce yourself, the first thing you need to know is what information to provide. For example, the first thing is to provide your name. Okay, in least formal situations, how do we say our name? We can simply say, my name is, or I am. In formal situations, it's going to be more or less is the same. You can say, my name is Zafar, or you can provide your full name just mentioning, I am Zafar Abdullayev, or I am so-and-so. So this is the name. Then the second thing you provide, you give an information when you introduce yourself, is the location. So where you come from. There are many ways of telling about your location, number of ways of telling about your location, where you come from. You can say, I am from Jizzax, or I am from Samarkand, I am from Tashkent, I am from Uzbekistan. Or you can say, I was born in Jizzax, or you can say, I was born and raised in Jizzax. Or let's say, you were born in Jizzax but raised in Samarkand. You can mention this too. You can say, I was born in Jizzax but raised in Samarkand. Or you can say, I live in Samarkand but work you can say, I am originally from Jizzax but now I live in Tashkent. Or you can say, I work and live in Tashkent but I am originally from, let's say, Bukhara. So there are, depending on the information you give, depending on your own case, you can use different phrases. For example, you were born in Samarkand, you can say, I was born in Samarkand, but nowadays you are living in Tashkent, but still you are from Samarkand. You can say, I was born in Samarkand, but raised in Tashkent. For example, you were born in Samarkand, you are raised in Tashkent, but you are living now in Dubai, let's say. Then you can say, I was born in Samarkand, raised in Tashkent, but now I live in Dubai. So depending on on your own case, so you can provide you can use the appropriate phrase. Then the next case, when you introduce yourself, you provide your name, then you provide where you come from. Then the most important thing to give, in the beginning of the information, is your job. It's your work. In formal situations, you need to highlight your job, profession more. For example, what phrases do we use when we talk about our profession, our job, our work? You can say, I work in education, I work in medicine, or I work in finance, I work in customer service. This is more a general information. If you want to specify your job, your profession in detail, you can use I work as an accountant, or I work as a teacher in an English department, or you can say I'm a history teacher, or you can say I'm the head of the accounting department, I'm a head of the department, or I'm a chair of the department, I'm dean of the faculty. Depending on the profession, you can provide more details. If it's a more formal situation, then you need to provide more information in detail about your job. For example, you can mention also for how long you've been working in one position, or at your latest job. You can say, I work as a teacher for the last 3 years at so-and-so place. Or you can mention I have got an experience of 6 years in accounting field. Or you can mention, I have an experience of 5 years in the customer service, depending on your job, on your profession, on your position. Next thing you need to provide about yourself in a more formal situation, such as at a job interview or in a big event or in some other kind of conferences, seminars, is the education qualifications. Like you need to highlight your education qualifications like more if you are at a job interview. For example, how do we talk about our education qualifications? For instance, you've got a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, or you have completed a course in English, let's say, or in any other program, IT program, English program, any which provides a diploma certificate or gives your qualification in some field or profession, like related to your work. For example, when we talk about our education, we use phrases such as I have got a bachelor's degree or I've got a master's degree. Then this is more kind of a general information. Then if you want to highlight in what field you've done your bachelor's degree or master's degree, then you need to highlight it. For example, I have got a bachelor's degree in English, or I've got a bachelor's degree in chemistry. Or you can use a different phrase. You can say, I have completed my bachelor's degree in chemistry. Or you can say, my bachelor's degree is specialized in biology. Or like differently, I've completed my master's degree in TESOL, or I've completed my master's degree in teaching foreign languages, or I've completed my master's degree in science, or I've done my master's degree in science, or I have a master's degree in biology. Depending on your field, you can use such phrases. Or you can simply say, I'm a PhD in science, or like if you have done your postdoctoral degree, let's say after master's degree you've done your PhD, Doctor of Philosophy, then you can simply say, I've completed my PhD, I have done my PhD. Or you can simply say, I am a PhD in science, or I am a PhD in biology, I am a PhD in finance, I am a PhD in English language, or I am a PhD in linguistics, I am a PhD in English language and literature. Like depending on the field, you can use such phrases. Or let's say you don't have an education, let's say you haven't completed bachelor's degree, master's degree, or PhD, you've done a course. Let's say you've done a 6 months course on English, or you've done a computer course, a short-term course. Then you can use the phrase, the word course, like I've completed a course in English. Or you can say, you can even mention the duration of the course. You can say, I have completed a 3 months English course at so-and-so place, at so-and-so school. Or you can say, I have completed a 6 months English course at this place, so-and-so place. Or you can say, I have completed a 3 months computer course. Or you can say, I have a diploma on IT, or I have a diploma on computer science, or I have a diploma on English language teaching. Like depending on the field or on the area of your qualification course, then you can mention such phrases. You can use such phrases highlighting your course, your area of your subject. Then next, after talking about your job, after talking about your education qualifications, the most important thing when you introduce yourself in formal situations such as in a job interview, the most important part is to talk about your work experience. Like how long have you been working at your latest job, or how long have you been working in the same profession, or in the same position. For example, you can say, I have been working at this place for the last 6 years when you talk about your latest job. And if you want to highlight your experience in a particular field, for example, a customer service, then you can mention, you can like combine all of your experience working in 3-4 different companies. You can combine them all. You can add and calculate all the years you've worked. You can put them together and you can highlight your number of years of experience in one particular field, for example, in customer service. Then you can say, I've been working in customer service for the last 15 years in many different companies, starting from Tata to Microsoft. So this is something the employers will be looking to hear from your interview. Or if you want to highlight it like for your latest job, then you just mention your latest job. I've been working at this place for the last 5 years, or I've been working as an accountant for the 3 years. Or you can simply say, you can use like different phrases such as, I have a 3 years work experience in this field. Or you can say, I have 3 years experience, let's say in accounting. Or you can say, I have 3 years experience in teaching. Or you can say, I have a 3 years teaching experience. Or you can say, I have a 5 years accounting experience. And depending on the situation where you introduce yourself, is very important the type of information you provide. For example, you need to avoid to provide personal information if you are presenting yourself, talking about your professional profile. You talk about when you introduce yourself in a more formal situation, you need to avoid to give more personal information. For example, you need to avoid to give your age. You need to avoid to talk about your family. You need to avoid to talk about your hobbies until you are asked, unless you are asked. For example, if it is less formal, for example, you introducing yourself in an English classroom to your classmates. There you can, starting from your name, greeting name, then you can talk about your age, you can talk about your hobbies, even you can mention about your family. So, in less formal situations, least formal situations, how do we talk about our family? When you talk about your family, you can simply say, I have a family of 4. For example, your parents and you've got 1 sibling. Or you can say, I am an only child in the family. If you are an only child, you can use the phrase only child. I'm an only child in the family. Or I have, if you have got 1 brother or sister, you are 2 in the family, 2 children in the family, you can say, I am 1 sibling of 2. Or you can say, you are 4 children in the family, you can say, I am 1 of the 4 siblings in the family. Or like in total, there are like 6 members of the family, 6 members in your family, then you can say, I have a big family of 6. Or you can simply say, I have a family of 6. Or you can say, I have a family of 5, depending number of people in your family. Then avoiding using phrases such as I've got 2 sisters, 2 brothers, it would be better rather to use like I'm 1 sibling of 4, or like I'm an only child, or I'm only, or like I'm the 2nd child of 3 siblings. Or you can say I'm 1 of the 2 siblings if you are 2 in the family. So these are the phrases recommended to use when you talk about your family. Then the next case is if it is less formal situation, you're introducing yourself to your friends, or in an English classroom, then talking about your age. When we talk about our age, we can simply say I'm 20, or I'm 20 years old, or I'm 22 years old, I'm 22 simply. Or let's say it's like advised when you talk, even in an English classroom, even if you talk to your friends, it's advised like to not give the exact number of your age. Like you can use some different phrases like to hide your age, but still provide like information about your age. For example, you can say I'm in my early or in my mid or in my late 20s. So by this, you at the same time you can tell about your age, but still you'll be able to hide your age. For example, if you are 22, 21, 23, 24, rather than saying giving the exact age, like rather than saying I'm 22 years old, it would be better to use the phrase of I'm in my early 20s. Early 20s means that you are 21, 22 or 23. Then there is a phrase of in my mid. Let's say if you are 25, 26 or 24 or even 27, then you can use the phrase of in my mid. For example, if you are 26, you can say I'm in my mid 20s. So which means you are whether 26 or 25 or 27. So this is better to use such phrase to avoid to give your exact age. Let's say you are 27 or 28 or 29, then you can use the phrase of late. For example, you can say I'm in my late 30s. Late 30s means whether you are 37 or 38 or 39. So it's also better, rather than giving the exact number of your exact age and then providing the exact age, it's always better to hide and using such phrase. I'm in my early 30s, or I'm in my mid 30s, or I'm in my late 40s, depending on your age. Now start talking about in a less formal situations, introducing yourself, giving information about yourself, talking about yourself in least formal situations. Then the next thing is to talk about your hobbies, interests. So this is the most exciting part of information you want to tell to everyone, you want to share with your friends in less formal situations. Then how do we talk about our hobbies or interests? It's very simple. You are used to use phrases such as I'm interested in, or I like, or my hobby is. So these are the most common used expressions in your English, in our English nowadays. And also I can recommend you to use, I can suggest you to use some more exciting phrases. Rather than saying I'm interested in football, it would be better to use the phrase of I'm into football, or I really love football, or I really love playing football, or I really love watching football, or I'm a keen football player, or you can say I'm a big fan of football, rather than using like boring expressions such as I'm interested in, or I like, or my hobby is. I would rather recommend you to use such phrases like I'm into football, I'm a big fan of sport, or I'm a keen football player, or even you can say I really love playing football, or I really love, or you can use a phrase of I really enjoy swimming, or I really enjoy hiking, or I really love doing like fun things. Like depending on your interest, you can use such phrases rather than using just my hobbies, I'm interested in this, or I like. It would be better to use I really love, I really enjoy doing this, I really love playing this, or I'm a big fan of so and so, or I'm into sport. Like nowadays, this is like most used phrase when you talk about your interest. Like native speakers mostly use this phrase, I'm into sports, I'm into football, I'm into music. Now in our today's class we have learned about introducing ourselves, talking about ourselves, providing information about our professional profile, in many different situations, depending on the formality of the situation, starting from least formal to the most formal. Now you know how to introduce yourself. Let me give you one example of introducing yourself in a more formal situation. For example, if I introduce myself in a more formal way, imagine that I'm introducing myself, giving an information about my professional profile in a job interview or in a big event or at a new job. So how would I introduce myself? Good morning everyone, my name is Zafar Abdullayev. I come from Uzbekistan, but now I live in London. I have 5 years of teaching experience and I'm an English teacher as a profession, and I have got a strong teaching background and I have an education of bachelor's degree, master's degree in English language teaching, in English language nowadays, now I live in Jizzax, but I have done my bachelor's degree in India in English. Then I have completed my master's degree from Webster University in Tashkent campus from US University, specialized in language teaching, especially in TESOL, which is like teaching English as a second language to like foreign learners of English. And now I'm working as an English teacher at Jizzax State Pedagogical University, and I teach to students of like different departments. My department it's an interfaculty department of foreign languages. So my subject is, my field is an ESP, which is English for specific purposes, where I teach about let's say I teach biology students like English, highlighting their specialty biology, highlighting the subject of biology, like providing with the English terminology of their field, talking about biology. This is the way you can provide information in like more formal situations, highlighting more your profession, experience of your relevant position or relevant work. Now at the end of our class, dear students, I would like to give you some exercises based on our today's classroom. Like at the end of my slide, I've provided 2 exercises like matching headings and writing about yourself. In the matching headings exercises from 1 to 11, there are like some phrases given about your like profession, about your personal information, let's say marital status, occupation, your name, where you come from. Then on the right hand side, A to G, there are like questions given. You need to match each question for the matching answer. For example, for the occupation, you need to find the matching question. Like, what is occupation? Like, what would be the best question to, let's say, define the word occupation? So let's search from the right hand side. So as you can see, what do you do? This is the right question for the word occupation. What do you do? So which highlights, which asks about your profession. What is your job? What is your work? What do you do? Where do you work? So the right answer would be, right matching would be the word occupation. On the next exercise, there is a writing form. I have provided one writing form like with basic information. You need to write about yourself and about your partner, about your friend, about your colleague, about your classmate, like talking about providing information about the basic information. For example, I have noted down the questions such as about your name, about your age, then there is like a phone number, about your work, about your school if you study, if you work, the place of your job, or like what is your profession, and you need to provide the same information about your partner. Then after 2 exercises, I've provided a slide about useful expressions, like which are really useful for you to use in your daily English or in your like professional English, when you use English language to talk about your professional profile, when you introduce yourself in more formal meetings, such as in a new job, in a big event, or at a job interview. I would highly recommend you to use such expressions such as "let me introduce myself," or "let me start introducing by my name," or you can even say "let me start giving information or highlighting my work experience," if it's more information. And there are like number of different useful expressions given provided in my last slide, so where you can refer to use in your professional English or in your daily life, or when you provide information about yourself, when you do self-introduction, or when you give when you talk about yourself at the job interview. These are the mostly recommended, highly recommended useful expressions for you to use. And thank you for your attention.